Good afternoon, everybody. I'll just provide a brief update first. I got to read it off so that just with so many different things happening so that I don't misstate anything and make everyone's job harder on them trying to track stuff down. So all told, between the Leafs and Marlies, Marlies had 24 players and 5 staff test positive for COVID-19. The Leafs, 14 players and 7 staff members. Between active roster players, injured reserve players. Obviously, our game and every game in the league postponed tomorrow. We return to practice today with 11 forwards, 5 defense, and 2 goaltenders on the ice. Mitch Marner returned to practice today, his first practice with the team. And that is where we stand. We don't have any, at this moment, we're continuing to plan towards playing on Wednesday against Pittsburgh, just because I think that's the right mindset for us to have. And we'll get 3 more players back tomorrow, Alex Kerfoot, Wayne Simmons, and Jason Spezza, as long as they clear their cardiac screening in the morning and gain full clearance from our medical staff. John Tavares rejoined the team today. So that's the latest update. I'll turn it over to questions.
First up, we'll go to Lance Hornby, Toronto Sun. Go ahead, Lance.
Oh, hi, Kyle. Can you hear me?
Yes, Lance. Yep. Thanks.
Okay, thank you. Could you please update us on, you said 2 or 3 more players at this point to play another game. Do you have enough guys? And can you update us maybe on Mitch Marner's status?
It'll all depend on that, what happens tomorrow with the players that are go through their cardiac screening, Lance. I don't believe we would have enough defensemen to play, and we would be also short 1 goaltender. Ian Scott practiced today, but he's still on injured reserve. So we have Joe Wall that came in and practiced today, but I think we would probably still be short 1 or 2 depending on the way things shake out. And I might have the days confused in my mind a little bit. Forgive me for that. And Mitch's status is that he obviously his rehab was upended by the shutdown and the pause in our activity. So it was good to see him out there in practice today, but certainly not a player that we would rush along whatsoever. So it's tough to really predict at this point. I think after a few more days of practice, we'd have a better read on that. But certainly to see him out there in practice today is a step in the right direction.
Thank you. And my follow would be the condition of Sheldon at this point and Spencer.
They were on the third day of positive tests for us. So their condition is, I think both are doing well. I've checked in on Spencer, and then Sheldon and I talk multiple times per day. So they would be coming out on the 3rd day, which would be Tuesday potentially. So that's if they're asymptomatic and everything else clears.
Thank you.
Next up, we'll go to Jonas Siegel with The Athletic. Go ahead, Jonas.
Hey, Kyle. So what happens if you're still short on D and in goal for the game on Wednesday and obviously moving ahead?
I don't know. I think that's more of a question for the league. Our issue we have here, notwithstanding the news on taxi squad and such today, Jonas, is that we have basically we don't have any NHL contracted players to call up to meet that requirement. So we just the way it shook down with the Marlies, the majority of the players who became positive early on, save for Krall and Anderson, who you saw here today, were all American League contracted players who aren't necessarily at this point eligible to play NHL games. So I think we would be okay for Wednesday. We would probably be 1 or 2 short, but I don't have the answer other than the game's on our schedule, and therefore we have to prepare, so we're going to play it.
And is there anything more you can tell us about the guys that are in protocol? Just an update on their status.
I've checked in on everybody myself, and everyone seems to be doing well. Some symptoms at the beginning, right after testing positive, whether it's night sweats and chills or sore throat, cough. One guy with loss of taste, but otherwise, I think thankfully all through without much of a long-term effect, and at least that's what we hope now. And I should say, Jonas, on the other question is that the league did advise us when they as they kind of gone through it, that they would have a clearer picture either tonight or tomorrow as to what was going to happen moving ahead. So we'll just wait on them, and we'll continue to take advantage of these days the best we can and prepare.
Next up, we'll go to David Alter with the Hockey News. Go ahead, David.
Hey, Kyle, forgive me if this is a bit in the weeds from the general manager department, but in Marner's case, with the long-term injured reserve and the restrictions on if he can come back with games missed or whatever, was there any exception made with postponed games or anything like that if it hasn't quite been 10 games that he's missed, yet he's ready to come back to the lineup?
It's a bit an ongoing discussion between Brandon Pridham and the league. I mean, I don't think in this case anyone throughout the league would look at it and say there was anything untoward done. I don't think we've gained any massive advantage. We just happened to have the Calgary game postponed before we had any positive tests. We had our game in Vancouver postponed, and then because of the border stuff with Seattle, then the whole league was postponed for tomorrow night. And then of course our St. Louis game wedged in there as well. So I don't think we've gained any advantage. And I sure hope that, you know, if he's ready to come back on Wednesday or on Saturday, I don't imagine that that would play into it. He's missed. He'll have certainly missed the number of days required to be on LTIR, and the games were all in the schedule. So I think if it was going to have to be the games played, you're going to have a lot of players in the league here because of postponements that will be healthy and not able to play. So I'm hopeful that that's the case with Mitch, and I would agree with that on whether we had any players on LTIR or not. That it certainly would be the right thing to do for any player in the league that's healthy and ready to come back, and it's up to the team to make themselves cap compliant, which we would.
We'll take a few more here. We'll go to Lance Hornby, Toronto Sun. Go ahead, Lance.
Kyle, just what has the past week to 10 days been like for you guys going, the trip and everything that's happened? You've been through COVID before, but this is a new chapter in the whole thing, is it not?
Certainly, it's been extraordinarily long days on the phone with our medical team, with Dr. Noah Foreman and Paul Ayotte, and then with the league, and then internally trying to figure different things out. Every player, because it was the holiday season, every player seemed to have different circumstances that they were dealing with, staff members, circumstances that they were dealing with regards to family and travel and so on and so forth. So it's been a lot of time on the phone and mostly just trying to make sure everyone is healthy and make sure that we're doing everything we could for everybody, Lance, but certainly challenging. And I think we're just fortunate here to have great staff that are able to, whether that's in terms of delivering food or making sure that everyone's taken care of, checking in on players, just to make sure that everyone is healthy, and especially over the Christmas break, that we're continuing to check in and make sure that they're doing well, illness and athletics notwithstanding. So certainly a major challenge being on the road for that long, only having the one game with the three final games postponed, and then getting back here and have everything paused. So today being our first time on the ice in 9 or 10 days, it's been a challenge. And so you could see today that the guys were a little bit winded, and no fault of their own, but just good to be back.
Thank you.
We'll go back to David Alter with the Hockey News. Go ahead, David.
Hey, Kyle, just following a little bit on Lance's question, I'm wondering if you can share with us what that process was like trying to get those COVID positive players and staff home.
It was a big time challenge. We had one flight set up for them, and then at the last second, we were informed by that company. We had, obviously, it was very open that these people had all tested positive for COVID. We had informed that company that these players were and staff members were positive. They assured us that they would, that was not going to be an issue, that they had done this before, and that we were very open and upfront that these were all COVID positive travelers. And then Sunday morning, very early in the morning, Brad Lynn from our staff called me and said that at the last second, the pilot of that flight had deemed that he was uncomfortable transporting them, and thus it was a scramble basically all day last Sunday here with Brad Lynn, our director of team operations, carrying the ball for most of it to try to get these guys home. And we were able to secure a flight for them last Sunday night after a full day of back and forth, and Dr. Foreman using his contacts on the medical transport side of things, finally able to get them home. It would in what turned up being essentially a red eye on Sunday night to get back very early Monday morning. So I know that it's an issue throughout the league, and you know, it's I obviously understand where people are coming from, not wanting to be in contact with people who are deemed certainly positive with regards to pilots and such. But yeah, I think a lot of credit's due to the staff here, Brad Lynn, especially for the work he did to get everybody home last Sunday night.
We'll take two more here. We'll go to Mike Agello with the Hockey Buzz. Go ahead, Mike.
Sorry about that. Thanks, Kyle. Question about the 5 postponed games. Has the league communicated anything in terms of scheduling now with the Olympic break now being an option? And has there been any communication regarding the potential of playing? I know a lot of Canadian teams, there's a possibility of games not being played in Canadian cities because of fan limitation. Have you had any communication regarding either one of those things?
No, we haven't had any insights into the postponed games. Certainly that 3 week those dates and those 3 weeks opening up when the Olympic was supposed to be the Olympic break helps to ease the congestion, and nothing with regards to games being moved out of Canada at all.
And last one here, we'll go to Rosie DiMano with the Toronto Star. Go ahead, Rosie.
Hi, thanks, Kyle. I know the decision was totally out of your hands, but is there any sense of relief within the organization that the Leafs won't be sending a whole bunch of players to Beijing?
I don't know that I would call it relief, Rosie. I think I feel for the guys that you know, some of them that may be at the end of their window to go in and compete in that event. I think certainly you know, you want the players to have that opportunity. They talk about it. They relish the opportunity, and they want to represent their countries at the Olympics. And so I certainly feel for the players that it may have been their only chance because of their age or their last chance. You know, there's obviously a bit of a risk to the organization of some have found over time with regards to injury and such. I think the relief comes this time in just the not having to wade into the unknown as different things were coming up with regards to the amount of time you'd have to quarantine potentially in Beijing, or you know, who was going to be in charge of deeming whether you were cleared to come back or not, depending on testing, and what those rules were going to be from the IOC or from the host committee. So I think that's where the relief comes, is just the certainty one way or another that the players will be here, and there won't be any you know, prolonged quarantines going to or coming back from the games. And otherwise, I'm probably like every other person, but sad that that there won't be a best on best event this year as was planned. But you know, fortunate that we're able to use that time productively here and get some of the games back.